swords.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
Hello and welcome to Velen's Chosen. We're ready to buff your game, and our show exists to help budget players stay competitive on the ladder and to end every season just a little bit higher than the last, so no matter what your card pool is.
Welcome to the exhibit. Don't touch that.
That was our museum curator card that we'll be releasing in 2 weeks, so...
Don't touch that.
Is that the last week?
Actually, it could be the last week. I don't necessarily remember. So let's introduce our host, the museum curator himself, Andrew Brown.
Someone's got to take care of this stuff. I mean, might as well be me.
You missed your cue of saying, welcome to the exhibit.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to be in character.
Andrew's making it his own.
Take it further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the, the crazy game story. Man, I'm butchering this for you, Eve. I'm sorry. The crazy game story princess, Evemartyn.
There you go.
Oh, have I got some stories for you.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear them. So this week on our show, we're not discussing everything with League of Explorers. We're going to kind of touch on a few things, but this is, I guess, what you would say the week off for Team 5 and everyone else. They really gave us a lot of cards that are kind of breaking the game. And they even hotfixed the Unearthed Raptor this morning so that we can have a good weekend.
I don't even think they knew how much it was going to change everything and how much people were going to like completely embrace.
I mean, they can only know so much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like there's a lot of new deck archetypes coming out, like Bran Bronzebeard decks, Battlecry decks, Highlander, which is the one of decks with Reno Jackson in like 4 different kinds of classes. You've got mid-range decks coming out. You've got what Andrew's going to be talking about today with Reliquary Seeker not sucking.
We were so wrong.
I've got another mage deck that Andrew's going to really appreciate after last episode.
I haven't gotten to hear about it yet, so I'm anticipating it.
We got a packed show about class crafting today. So let's dive right in, shall we?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk first about what we're playing.
Oh, we can do that. Let's do that. I'll tell you what I'm playing. It's actually not Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I'm playing Genji Hamada in a lot of games of Overwatch this weekend.
Nice.
I hear he's tough to play. Like there's a bit of a learning curve with him.
He's supposed to be the highest skill cap character, and I'm just like wrecking with him.
But that's the thing. Like if you can handle him, he is amazing. He's like, scary.
He like fits my playstyle. Like he actually has this ability. Okay, so he's the only character in the game that can double jump. And Genji, okay, super nerd moment. When he enters the battlefield, he speaks in Japanese. And then if you use his thank animation or his thank you like emote, every third one he says "Arigato," which is, you know, the casual phrase version of the thank you in Japanese. So I'm like nerding out big time. I want to go to Japan. So yeah, Genji, and then my tank of choice is either Diva or Roadhog, because Roadhog I can grab Phares out of the sky and blast him with the shotgun. It's pretty cool.
I've heard lots of good things about Diva.
Yeah, and I had actually an amazing game last night when we had a choke point on the Japanese map where there's a big gate and it's the only way you can get in unless you're playing Junkrat and you jump over the gate, where you set up your turrets. So like Symmetra is amazing at this game on defense. So like if you guys play defense, play Symmetra. It's so good.
All right, not too much Overwatch.
Okay, so what are you guys doing?
Hearthstone. Well, I was starting out around, what was I at? Rank 12? And so I played a bit of Dragon Priest to try and get up, and then I switched to Secret Paladin. And then I was running into all these ridiculous, crazy decks. So I thought, I am just going to join in the fun. and I made a one of everything Reno Secret Paladin.
Interesting.
And I used that the Old Mine card that we were talking about that makes things 3/3.
The Keeper of Voldemort.
The Keeper of Voldemort.
Yeah, Keeper of Voldemort. Threw that in there, and yeah.
Did you throw Secret Keeper in there too?
Secret Keeper that.
The 1/2 that gets a 1/1 for every secret played?
Yes.
Okay.
Threw that in there. Threw in Alex Straza, threw in Boom, threw in Ragnaros, like just because they're all one-ofs. And yeah, having crazy fun with it. People are not expecting it at all.
Right.
Because they see the Secret Paladin and they see a lot of the normal Secret Paladin cards. And then they get me down low and I pull out Reno and they're like, well played.
Do you have a Molten Giant in there?
No, I do not.
Okay. I would actually replace the Alex Straza with the Molten Giant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you're getting low a lot in that deck, so.
Yeah, it's just super fun to surprise people. To have people, oh, and I was using that new secret that
Sacred
kills
Trial.
the 4th creature that the other person summons. Yeah, and that's super fun because no one expects that yet.
You can't play around every secret. You just can't.
Yeah, they may eventually figure out all of them, but right now in this stage, it's just surprising everybody. And I've been running up against, I was playing right before the show started, and one of our friends, I Play Games, jumped in to spectate me so he could get his free pack.
Oh, yeah. Andres.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Andres of Hearthaholics.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys.
So we're checking out this warrior I was facing, and I couldn't figure out to begin with whether it was control or patron. And then he plays Fuegan.
Oh, Fuegan? What?
And then Stalag. And I'm like,
that's weird.
I can't kill these guys because if
that's
I
like a 6-0 deck.
I know I have seen them running in some of the Reno decks, though. I mean, you pull it off and it's stupid.
It was. Yeah. He killed me good.
After the removals are gone and what's it called? The BGH is out of there, like dropping Stalag and then getting an 11/11 is pretty rough.
I was also playing the Highlander version of Warlock Handlock.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Reno.
Yeah, that deck is really fun.
So fun. It gets killed with Control Warrior, though. Control Warrior seems to have an answer for every single thing I have, which is frustrating. But against every other deck, I would say the Reno Handlock, excellent. Definitely try it if you have the cards.
Yeah, the Reno deck is insane.
Yeah, really fun. So those are the decks that I've been playing, and I got to 9.
All right, Andrew. Andrew is living to legend, my friends.
I'm getting close. So
what's our hashtag for this? I put up one.
There's
today.
been a few. I don't care.
Hashtag Andrew to legend.
I have Andrew living legend Andrew.
There you go. Whatever. Whatever you want to post. Appreciate the support. So I started out at rank 6, I think, and I used at first I used Secret Paladin to get to rank 6, and then I just started grinding with Face Hunter and got to rank 3, but I was falling to rank 4. And then I watched Reynad play a zoo deck that uses it's a flood zoo deck, so it's all about
lots of minions. So
leveraging Implosion, Haunted Creeper, Echoing Oozes to flood the board, and then get Sea Giants out for cheap.
Oozes?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What? Definitely Echoing Ooze.
When you think about it, it's 2/4 for 2, which is not terrible. Yeah. I mean, in the past, it hasn't been usable, but it's fine in this, especially if you get a Defender of Argus.
So it's kind of like a zoo token almost.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely zoo token.
Okay.
So get all those out, and then you get Sea Giants for cheap. Reliquary Seekers are in there, and it's not a bad card. Especially when you get a 5/5 minion out for 1. And a lot of times I'll get that out on turn 5 or something, and I'll have a bunch of tokens on the board already. Which can clear their board, and then I'm left with a 5/5, and they have to deal with it, and they're trying to play catch up. Meanwhile, I'll blast down a Sea Giant, 2 power overwhelmings, and Dark Peddlers are great in that deck too. It's powerful. So I'm just gonna keep going with it because that got me to rank 2.
Now, do you run? Oh, you got rank 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
So got that far. We'll see where else.
Woo-hoo.
Where else?
That's
we go.
your all-time high, isn't it?
That is my all-time high. So
Very sweet.
Wow, that's
so
amazing. Congratulations.
and 9 days is enough time to.
You have so much time.
Yeah.
Especially with
You
the
can
break
totally do it.
and stuff.
The only problem is like if you so like work obviously for adults, that's always going to get in the way. But because it's a holiday season,
because
hopefully
of the break,
you're not
this
going to
is
lose
the
too
time.
much of your game time.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are thinking, "Hey, this is my time to really go." So yeah, we like to use our time well.
Games.
So
listen, I think that before people figure out this new zoo, you should just like play it as much as you can before people figure it out. When things are new and people haven't figured them out yet, best time to take it all the way to Legend.
Yeah, poo all over all the noobs.
And I will say that in the 5 to Legend ranks, I'm going up against a lot of Warlock and a lot of what was the other?
Mage?
No. Druid, tons of Druid.
Is this the new aggro Druid with raptors in it?
Yeah.
That deck is very strong.
I haven't seen too many raptors, but they probably have them in there.
It's like an aggro Druid that's kind of like keeps flexing, like they keep adding and subtracting new cards.
Last night that just infuriated me. I was going up against so many of them, and I mean, they just destroy you, so.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get lucky as to when you're going up. I will say, Andrew, like when you actually start playing against Legend people.
Which I have.
Of course you are. Rank 1 and 2.
The Legend people that are really low on the ladder are actually some of your easier games. Because they just don't care.
My last game was up against a Fatigue Warrior because he played a Cold Light Oracle. And I was like, what the heck is... So he's just trying... a deck. I mean, once you get into Legend, it's like I don't care really, probably. Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, we just said it. I just need 10 more wins, and I'm good. That's it. It. Just 10 wins. That's it.
Okay, so realistically, Andrew, you need to play
like 5 hours,
probably 50 games. I will tell you, if you don't get Legend within 50 to 60 games, that's really unlucky.
Yeah. Just keep the hope alive, keep your optimism, and you will get there, no problem.
Like, like I wouldn't even bother, like, okay, I'm rank 1, I only need to win 4 games. Don't keep that mentality. Be like, I'm rank 1, I still need to play 25 games.
Yeah.
And then you're there.
Keep going, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Because I thought that, and then I was like playing a freeze mage against my Secret Palette like 2 months ago, and Eve's like, I was talking with Eve. She's like, are you going to get it? I was like, it's almost midnight and this is probably the last game. She's like, it doesn't reset until midnight Pacific time. I was like, I have 3 hours? I'm going to go use the restroom, get a snack, come back. I got plenty of time.
So
that's really exciting. And then I'll be the last person to get Legend on our podcast.
But you will.
But we can cheer for you individually, separately. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
And let's not count it out until I actually do it, because that's got to happen still.
We'll call this Andrew's month. This is all about Andrew.
We can call Eve and I the prophet and the prophetess of Andrew hitting Legend right now, because I think it's going to happen.
Valen's prophetess.
Valen's prophets. There you go.
All right, that's a good segue into our craft cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Good,
Eve,
good.
you got the priest cards, don't you? So let's talk through what cards should I craft if I'm a newer player or I don't have a full collection and I want to play priest. What cards do I need, Eve?
All right. So the different priest archetypes are changing now. We had control priest and dragon priest, and that was pretty much it. But now every single class has a Reno deck. I have seen Reno and one of decks in every single class, which is super fun because it frees you up to not go, I have to put 2 of this in the deck and 2 of this in the deck and 2 of this in the deck. Yeah. You can actually play like a new player who is like, I like this card, so I'll put it in. I like this card, so I'll put it in. And you can do that of one of every card that you like and think will work in the deck, and then put Reno in. And
just be sure that if you play Reno, you don't have an Akanai Soul Priest on board, because
you will kill yourself.
Restore to full health. Oh wait. Oh whoops. Oh,
you will kill yourself.
Whoops. That'll be awkward.
How logical that was.
Okay, so before Reno went crazy all over the meta, I wrote these down. So The rares and commons that I think are necessary for people wanting to play the two different types of priests are Wormrest Agent from TGT, Shrinkmeister from
before
GBG.
you continue, make sure you're telling people one or two.
Wormrest Agent, two of. Shrinkmeister, I would say two of as well. Shadow Madness, I would only say one of. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Akanai
I don't see
Soul
very
Priest,
many two of.
I would say one of. And Valen's chosen two of.
Okay, I actually disagree with the one of for the Soul Priest.
Okay.
Because every deck that I've seen that is a healing priest or a deck that utilizes Akanai almost always has two.
You need
Because
the
you want to
removal.
make sure you want to make sure you draw it.
Yeah, you just want to have it. Especially if you're running double circle and double healing, like what are they called? Holy champions? Yeah. So like if you have holy champions and Akanais and double circles, you're hoping that you're going to draw one of those four cards and be able to utilize the circle with them.
Mhm.
Or a what's it called? An injured blade master would be like a rare neutral card that you're also going to want to look to get.
Mm-hmm.
So Wormrest Agent works well with the Dragon Priest, obviously because he's set off by dragons. Shrinkmeister works really well with Cabal Shadow Priest, I believe it is.
Oh, yeah.
The two work well
Mhm.
together. Shrinkmeister shrinks it down to Cabal's reach, and you grab it and take it for your own. Shadow Madness, I kind of put it in there because it's cheaper than Cabal Shadow Priest because it's a rare and it's not an epic.
Yeah, but that's because you can't keep the card once you take it.
Yeah, but you take it and then you bash it into the other guy's other minion and destroy them both. Like, that's basically the idea of what you do with Shadow Madness. Is while you have it, you destroy it and you destroy something else that your opponent has. So it's kind of like a cheaper version of Cabal Shadow Priest. Akanai Soul Priest is for removal. Valen's Chosen is for obviously buffing up your minions and getting lots of spell damage to make your other spells more powerful. Epics, Cabal Shadow Priest, we just talked about that. Light Bomb, really good removal. I'm not seeing it as much now.
I definitely don't see the two ofs as much now.
No.
Yeah.
And legendaries are not actually that huge. Like, the legendaries people put in priest decks are big dragons. They don't actually
And
use
Vol'jin.
Velen much, Vol'jin even, or Paletris.
I would say the Vol'jin's probably the most common out of them.
Yeah.
Just because it's helpful for removal. I mean, if your opponent has a Ysera, that's an easy Vol'jin target, and then you can usually trade and take it out easily. And you've got a big beefy minion on your side, but it's definitely not a necessary card by any stretch. Just
Yeah,
if you're
Vol'jin actually synergizes with a lot of cards that do 2 damage. So Smite, Akanai Soul plus the heal. So
Holy
if you have an
Nova.
Akanai on the board and then you drop Vol'jin on turn 7 and heal your opponent's Ysera, you've removed it and you've got a 5/12? So, or 6/12 or whatever Vol'jin
6/12.
is.
Yeah, it's just under
Holy-
Big Game Hunter.
Holy Nova will take care of it too.
I've seen a lot of, like, I'd say the second most common is Paletris, and then if you're running any sort of like burst priest, like there was a freeze priest that was going around the ladder with
I think
Firebat.
It's a bummer because Paletris is more of just a fun card, really. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
incredibly powerful, but it definitely hasn't become a consistent, a standard indexer by any stretch.
Right.
Well,
I
it's
think-
one of these things where
Go
if
ahead.
you have it, you can put it in your priest deck. Like, if you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it while you were opening packs, like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
craft it.
This is
but-
a card you don't want to disenchant.
Yeah,
for any
before
stretch.
I
Oh, no,
had
no,
Archmage Antonidas, I just used Kel'Thuzad in my mage deck because that's the only really cool legendary that I had. So
Yeah.
when you get the really good ones that work better, you can replace them. But if you don't have any,
Sure.
you just put something in that's strong and unexpected, like Paletris. So if you have it,
Yeah.
put it in. But if you don't have it, don't craft it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paletris is your typical legendary that can function as a role in your deck where it basically you play it and it could win you the game.
Mhm.
Or you can play it and it can save you in the game, or you can play it and then it's just like
Fizzles.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Paletris is definitely, I think Paletris actually is the embodiment of like how Hearthstone players have fun, as it were. Like, you swing the game and it can like blow up people watching it on Twitch and just excite the snot out of anybody watching your game, or it could really make you depressed and people like, oh my word, I can't believe that happened type moments. So
Sure.
Palechus is very cool RNG effect that has a little bit of control to it.
Out of all of them, I think that Velen's Chosen would be the one I'd craft the most.
Yeah, because it's a cheap card.
It's a quick buff spell.
I'm going to run back through your list, Eve, and let people know the sets so they can be aware. So, like, Wormrest Agent, Palechus are the only 2 cards on this list that are TGT. Shrinkmeister, Velen's Chosen, Light Bomb, and Vol'jin are all GVG. And then Shadow Madness, Auchenai, Cabal, and Velen, which you don't really need to craft. Those are all, so Cabal,
Classic.
Auchenai, and Shadow Madness are all classic. So Priest is in a tough spot for players that are new because they have to craft, these cards and then open these packs and pray to the RNG gods that they get it, right?
Yeah.
So what I would say, my recommendations would be open a bunch of GVG packs, fill in the gaps with the commons you don't get, and then craft the rares and epics from Classic.
The only other thing I want to throw out there is that if you're wanting to play Priest and you have the adventures but trying not to spend any other money, a combo Priest deck right now is very cheap to make, especially with the Ginny of Zephyrs. If you've got that, you've got Death Lords from Nax. And then as long as you've got the commons from Classic, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, I mean, you're kind of set to create something that could be fun with that. And that's a really cheap deck to make that can work on the ladder, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, all of these cards, I could see you making a decent Priest deck without them.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would really, really craft would be Velen's Chosen, and then everything else is kind of, you can still make quite a decent Priest deck without these cards.
And the only hidden card that's missing from this is Wild Pyromancer, because that's a rare for Classic, but man, it's so common in Priest decks that's what I meant.
Removal,
really it's so common in Priest decks,
Yeah, the thing you got to keep in mind when crafting cards for Priest is there's a lot of neutral cards that are useless to almost anyone else except for Priest. So Pyromancer is a card that no one uses unless you're a Paladin or a Priest, for the most part. And Injured Blademaster and Injured Cavaldier are cards that you would never play unless you're playing Priest.
Cavaldier I haven't really seen.
My friend Billy made a really funny deck with Resurrect that you could do. You basically play that on turn 1 and then Resurrect turn 2.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about crafting cards for Priest decks because if we're only talking about Priest cards, it leaves out all of the neutral cards that are used to make Priest decks.
Sure.
Right. So let's go through this for Andrew. What is your class, and make sure you name your rarity and
we're gonna talk Mage, which is probably a big one for a lot of people because Mage is what you start out with, and if you're free to play, you probably haven't been playing a ton yet. Could be newer to the game, so Mage is something that is familiar, that makes sense, simple to understand and everything. So I'm going to try and keep it simple and focused here. For rare, you want to craft a Goblin Blast Mage from GVG, really just for the Mech Mage archetype. And Mech Mage is a cheap deck overall, but Goblin Blast Mages are absolutely essential for that because you get so much value out of dropping 5/4 on the board and doing 4 damage that can either clear your opponent's board or just deal it all to face or whatever the case may be. So you want a couple of those for sure for any Mech Mage deck.
I definitely still run into them on the ladder. Mech Mage is still alive and kicking.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, especially if you're really if you're in that rank 20 to 10. I mean, this is a deck that's consistent and will lead to a faster game, so you can get through more, basically. So, really strong. And then the second one is Unstable Portal from GVG. You want 2 of those as well, and you want them golden so that you can have every golden card in the game. So,
I still haven't got those in golden yet.
I have one, and it's fantastic. It's even more exciting because you don't know what you're going to get, and I don't know if I've seen the golden art for whatever I get. So
that's fun.
You really want the Unstable Portal for the Tempo Mage, but I really Unstable Portal is going to work in most mage decks. Yeah.
Maybe freeze mage doesn't run it, but I would say every
Right.
mage archetype except for freeze mage runs
Yeah.
unstable
And
portals.
Grinder Reno Mage doesn't play Portal, I don't think.
Okay. And Tempo's another one of those fairly cheap decks. I can't think of any. You got Azure Drakes in there, but I can't think of any epic
What about
or legendary cards other than Boom.
Flame Wakers?
Those are part of the adventure. That's
we
why.
don't include adventure
Oh,
cards.
good.
Yeah.
You just get that one if you get the adventure.
So it's Mana Worms, which are common, Sorcerer's Apprentices, which are common, Flamewakers, which is adventure.
And most of the other cards are basic, like Frostbolts, Fireballs,
Yeah.
Ice Lance.
Mage is one of those
actually a classic
classes that
card.
just uses a lot of their class cards.
Yeah. So
Water
that's a
Elementals.
Makes
a
them the
great deck.
cheaper decks to make for new players. Yeah.
great deck if you're new or free to play. So you can move on to the epics unless you guys have anything about Goblin Blast Mage or Unstable Portal. You wanna
Oh,
say?
I think those are excellent choices.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Nice.
there's plenty of rares to keep you distracted, so try to zero in on these.
I
two.
actually crafted Goblin Blast Mages myself when Mech Mage became a thing because I didn't pull them out of the packs and have
Oh, yeah.
not regretted it.
You need them.
Yeah.
You need them. For epics, we're going to go with Ice Block, which is, just to be clear, because there's Ice Barrier and Ice Lance and Ice Popsicle. I don't know. Ice Block is
I
the
want that
Next
so badly to
expansion.
be a card.
New card.
Do you?
Be like a picture of a person like wrapped in ice.
There you
Ice
go.
popsicle.
Ice Block is the secret that when your hero takes fatal damage, prevent it and become immune this turn. So Ice Block is primarily used in a Freeze Mage deck. As I was thinking about Freeze Mage, it's not necessarily a really pricey deck other than like Alexstrasza, Antonidas.
Doomsayers.
Doomsday. Okay, never mind. It is, but Ice Block is Ice Block is one of the pieces to that puzzle. So if you want to create a Freeze Mage deck, you're going to need to go with Ice Block. And honestly,
And
just
there's another rare too. Sorry to interrupt, but there's another rare that you're gonna need, which is Blizzards.
yeah. No, you're right. I mean,
It is
really,
expensive.
I guess I should have let out by saying that the epics for Mage aren't very, very common. Ice Block and Pyroblast you'll see in Freeze Mage decks. Echo of Medivh you'll see in Echo decks, which is a very specific archetype. And then the
Echo
only,
is also known as Echo Giants or Grinder,
which
so.
again you need Molten Giants for, which are epic also, so that's a pricey deck.
Yeah.
The only other one I put in there was Arcane Blast from TGT, just because that's a card we've been seeing a little bit of in Tempo. Usually it's just a one of, just because it's not incredibly powerful, and it's more
It's really good in Reno decks though.
It's more for the sake of having one more one cost spell in your deck. But really, both of these aren't. These aren't cheap decks. The ones, I mean, Mech Mage and what was the
Tempo
other one?
Mage.
And Tempo Mage we just talked about. These aren't like essential cards for those. So really, I just threw these in just in case, but don't focus on these too much.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're looking for cheap decks, Freeze Mage is not the deck for you.
No,
I
Yeah,
still don't
there's-
have all the pieces to it.
How many epics are in that deck? There's at least 4.
Well, then a lot of them still run the legendary, the 1/1 with spell power,
Blood Mage Thalnos.
Blood
Oh,
Mage
Thalnos,
Thalnos.
yeah.
They run that too.
So it runs at least 3 legendaries.
Mhm.
And I think it even runs a 4th if you count the Blackrock Mountain one.
I think I might honestly change my suggestion. Instead of Ice Block and Arcane Blast, if you're going to craft one epic, just do a Pyroblast, because that adds reach to any deck, and you can just have a one of in there. If I'm thinking you're
It
creating
actually
a budget
replaces
deck.
Ragnaros a lot of times.
Sure, yeah, there you go. So
10
you just have
damage,
to,
yeah.
your win condition is getting them down to 10 and then drawing a Pyroblast. So that can
It's
be
similar to the combo for Druid. You can just
Sure.
run one of these, and then if you draw it and they're down to 10 or less, boom, they're dead.
And actually, Pyroblast is a card that I crafted. I have one of, and I still haven't gotten another one. So you don't need 10 or 2 of them.
You don't need 2 of these
So,
at all.
yeah.
You never run 2 of these.
Don't say never, because people said that about Doomhammer, and then they just put 2 in because you needed to draw it.
To draw
So
it, yeah.
that could be, but I agree with you. I don't think that'll happen. So
Okay,
move on to
legendaries.
legendaries. Just do Antonidas, because Antonidas is flippin' powerful.
He's the man.
You want to know something funny about this card? Is he's a classic card, but he wasn't good until GVG even released.
No, absolutely. You're
He
absolutely
was probably one of the worst legendaries in the game.
And then GVG gave a whole bunch of 1-cost mana spells.
The spare parts, yeah.
Yeah.
The key is that you need the cheap spells to proc off of him. The interesting thing is that both Tempo and Freeze Mage now don't typically run spare parts. I've seen some that'll run like 1 Clockwork Gnome, but usually it's the Arcane Missiles, it's now the Arcane Blast, it's your Frost Bolts, Mirror Image, stuff like that. So Antonidas can go in either of those, so he's the most versatile. There's been some hybrid mech Tempo decks that'll run Antonidas and a Mana Worm or something like that. So Antonidas is hands down the legendary you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's awesome. If you're going to play Mage, eventually you have to craft him.
Yep.
Yeah. Say so.
The prettiest legendary is Ronin, though.
Why do you say
have
that?
somebody come into the field really cool.
Ronin
yeah.
very cool.
When he enters in, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's kind of a staple in the Kibler Reno, Finding Reno, I'm Gonna Be Rich deck.
Oh yeah.
Because what he does is he runs Effigy and Duplicate and something else, and it just keeps
You
filling
want to have
your
him
hand.
killed? I gotcha.
It keeps filling your hand, and then you try to duplicate or echo a Reno at some point in the game, and you just win.
Interesting.
Yeah, Ronin is getting more play than we thought when we first reviewed the cards, so that's
It's
interesting.
He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got Warrior.
Hit us with it.
So I will say this: Warrior utilizes 3 archetypes currently that are the most popular, and then obviously with Reno Jackson's and Brand Bronzebeard coming in, we could have 2 more new archetypes.
Dude,
And there's
Brand's been really strong in Warrior. I was Warrior and Mill Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw Brand, or I never even thought about it. But
disgusting.
I mean, he just what does Control Warrior run with Brand? Shield Maiden, and I know there's at least one other.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Taskmasters are
sick.
not that good, but if you can Taskmaster twice with Bran on the board, on a Grom, you can burst for 14.
There's got to be some other Battlecry minion. I can't remember.
I'm trying to think of Battlecry legendaries, right? I mean, we have Alexstrasza, but that doesn't do anything if it triggers twice.
Taskmasters?
I guess you've got Azure Drakes, but that's
Azure Drakes lets you draw twice, yeah.
I don't know. You keep going. I'll look up some lists.
Okay, the other archetype is actually what people are trying to make work, which is not actually a bolster warrior, but more of a mid-range taunt warrior, where they're literally playing taunt cards from turn 3 to the rest of the game. I mean, it's like Fierce Monkey into Sinjin Sealmaster into Sludge Belcher into Sunwalker.
Black Knight is going to come back.
Black Knight could come back. And they also are running fencing coaches and sparring partner, or not fencing coach, sparring partner. That's the one that gives something taunt. And then it also runs Black Knight to kill stuff with the fencing coach or sparring partner. I'm sorry.
I mean, in my opinion, the Justicar is broken with that deck.
Yeah.
There's a point at which you cannot catch up to them. They have so much armor. And then if you do a Battle Cry, which gives them, like another 10?
The double, yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
The Brand Bronzebeard has made Fatigue Warrior even better.
Yeah.
So the 3 archetypes are Control/Wallet Warrior, which utilizes a lot of neutral legendary minions and Grommash Hellscream. And then there is the Fatigue Warrior, which basically is an Outlast deck where you armor up with Justicar, you try to get tons of armor with Shield Maidens, you're killing your opponent's minions a lot. There's even a Fatigue Warrior trying to do Highlander with Reno. Man. And then they sometimes will even run a one of Juggernaut to try to get an extra 10 damage with the mine. And
yeah, that's good with Battlecry, yeah.
Yeah, like you can play Brand Bronzebeard and then play that on turn 9 and then drop 2 mines in your opponent's deck, and then like it's filthy.
Crazy.
So like that's the Fatigue, and then the other deck is the cheapest, which is the new Patron Warrior that I've been playing, and I really, really like it. I've only lost 2 games out of like 15 with it so far.
Yeah, you've been playing a lot of that, haven't you?
A lot for how much I've been playing. I mean, every time I sit down and play, I play that. So
Sure.
unless it's my write-ups and stuff that I've been blitzing through heroics, like that's my biggest enjoyment so far has been playing heroics and stuff.
Cool.
So.
Did everyone get through the heroics?
No.
Andrew, did you get the first wing heroics done yet?
Get through it.
I couldn't get whatever the second boss was on the first wing. I can't remember.
Is it the escape?
The escape is the third boss.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The Jin Zephyrs is the first boss.
Sun Raider Ferrix. I didn't beat him.
Oh yeah, he was the hardest one of that.
I beat the other two, and I haven't started on Oldemon. I did go back and try to do some of Blackrock Mountain and took out a few of those too. So
good job.
All right, so let's get into these cards real fast. So I'll let you know what the rares are. Is Shield Maiden. Shield Maiden is hands down. Card is, if you're going to play Control Warrior and you're looking to do it on a budget or you want to do Fatigue Warrior, you got to have this card. It's so good, so much value, and it synergizes with Bran if you want to play that deck.
Mm-hmm.
Armor Smith. Armor Smith is used in literally every single Warrior deck.
Yeah.
Like, without fail, and it's a 2 of. Shield Maiden you can get away with a 1 of if you're running Justicar and you want to run Sylvanas. Or you want to run a Emperor. So if you're running if you're running 2 or more 6-drop legendary minions, then you need to run Shield Maiden only as 1. But if you're running 1 to 2 legendary minions, you might be able to find this as a place. The epics, I will actually tell you, you don't really need to have any if you don't want to.
Dang.
If you can
I agree
play.
with that.
You can play to a lot of success on ladder without a single epic. If you're playing Patron, especially, and if you're running the Taunt Warrior, you can as well. I will say, if you're going to have to get epics, the 3 you're going to want to pay attention to is Brawl, Shield Slam, and Gore Howl. I'm actually thinking that Gore Howl is coming back because I saw a really cool burst deck with Bran Bronzebeard and Bloodsail Course Pirates or something like that. So you have Gore Howl on the field, and then you drop Bran into the chick pirate, and she gains attack based off of your weapon, and that battle cry goes twice, and you can trigger that on 6 or 7, so you're actually gaining 14. And then if you drop a charge, you get 2 more attack, and you can charge. So it's almost like a win condition in and of itself.
Man.
And it even functions with other weapons. So like she has 2 attack, and you can do that with a. You don't necessarily have to have Gore Howl, but Gore Howl is kind of making a return with Reno Warrior decks.
And it's definitely a 1 of.
It's only a 1 of. I don't think you would ever run 2 of these. There's really realistically no reason. Shield Slam's the only one that I would consider running 2 of, aside from playing Brawls in tournaments, because double Brawl in tournaments is notorious for being pretty good if you're trying to counter certain archetypes.
Yeah, like Zoo or stuff like that. You gotta take out a bunch of minions all at once.
Right. So Brawl is kind of the only AoE that is hard removal for Warrior. So it's kind of like, if you want to craft an epic, this is the one you should craft. If you want to play other decks, crafting 2 Shield Slams is a good practice if you want to play more Warrior. And then legendaries, we mentioned Grummash Hellscream from Classic. I think right now in the current meta, I don't see hardly any decks that do not run Grom.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't think I've seen one.
Yeah, he's good.
Because he's just a 8 mana, 4 damage removal that they have to deal with. And then he gets 10 attack after he removes something. And then you have the ability to make him burst your opponent down to 10 or 12, depending on if you're running Inner Rages and Taskmasters. And like, it's such a freaking powerful card.
Yeah, it's good.
And then you have Iron Juggernaut for... I would not say craft this card ever, unless you're really wanting to have fun and you have a lot of money on hand, but I'm trying to even think of what the TGT one is. Varian Rin was probably the most hyped card from Grand Tournament that was the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I got it out of a pack.
Yeah, I did too. But I was really close to crafting this in Golden, even though I have a lot of Golden cards. Like, I don't know why. Like, the card feels amazing when you play it. It has the potential of making you just destroy the game and win, but playing against better control decks, you just don't run this card. A control deck versus control deck, the one that plays Varian first loses. Like,
sure.
Because you draw 3 cards and you go to fatigue. So, yeah, I think that's the Warrior cards. We're about a little bit past midway point in our show, so let's get into.
I'm begging you, Blizzard, please make a legendary. I don't care what the body looks like, but have its ability be remove your opponent's armor.
Yeah, they need to do something like that. Even if it's just like knock out 10 armor or
like
something
make it
crazy.
cost 10, make it like have some crazy thing that you have to do before you can cast it, but just give us an option to have a neutral legendary.
It would really be good against freeze mages
armor.
too.
It would probably need to be something along the lines of the what's that card from TGT that was Silence the Demon?
Lights Champion, I think.
Yeah, I guess you could do something like that, but it'd have to be an overcosted minion. So something like a 5-cost 3/3 that's battle cry was like cut your opponent's armor in half or remove your opponent's armor or something like that. Because that could be
just that guy's animation when he's playing. He's like, "Be gone, foul creature!"
Nice. But that would be a really powerful effect. I agree that it kind of needs to happen because so many decks can get so far ahead that there's no chance of catching up.
Yeah.
So
but the only reason that they haven't done it yet is because Control Warrior right now is actually pretty balanced.
Well,
so
you've got Justicar, and as soon as she's out, they're already racing away from you. Unless you're playing an aggro deck, you can't keep up with their armor.
Yeah, they well, that's the thing though, Eve, is like I feel like Control Warrior has or even decks that armor up a lot like Fatigue Warrior, they have enough bad matchups to balance out the good ones. I think that's what's really important, that Blizzard's kind of like not doing this yet. But I think it is a really fun card that they could introduce for tournament play that would be really interesting, right?
With Bronzebeard, I think it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. I kind of feel like this is a side note, but I feel like Bran is really limiting on a lot of meta cards. It kind of surprised me when they released it. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the same idea that they had with what was the Warsong Commander beforehand, right? That limits every card that they put out. And they already said that because they play, or they made Piloted Shredder, that they're making enough 2-drops in the game that it just doesn't matter. Like, there's so many that it doesn't matter. But like,
but you can kill him, right?
Yeah.
Like, it gives you a chance to react to it. Charge,
Yeah.
you can't react to it. But something like a Battle Cry, you have a chance to react to him. And there's only so many Battle Cry minions you can play in one turn.
Right.
That's true.
And I think Bran is most balanced because he's actually 3 mana. I think that's the biggest key right there. Is he's 3 mana, which means you cannot play him and another Battlecry minion that's above 7 mana on the same turn. So it's pretty good. All right. Here's my surprise for you two today. I talked with LBYS today, this morning, and he's a fairly unknown player, I would say, but I like him, and I've been watching a lot of stuff that he's been doing on Twitter, and he and VLPS have been playing this deck called an Aggro Freeze Mage.
Okay.
And I've put the deck list in, it's only on Twitter right now, so I put that link in the description, and I'll read off the deck real quick, and let me know what you guys think. Arcane Missiles, 2 of, Ice Lance, 2 of, Leper Gnome, 2 of, Mana Worm, 2 of, Frostbolt, 2 of, Blood Mage, Thalnos, the only legendary in the deck, 2 Loot Hoarders, 2 Mad Bombers, 2 Mad Scientists, 2 Arcane Intellects, 2 Forgotten Torches, 2 Frost Novas, 2 Ice Blocks, 1 Arcane Golem, and 2 Fireballs, 2 Cold Light Oracles.
Okay. So the idea is just, it sounds like a typical aggro deck that has some things in there to make sure that you don't get outrun. Is that accurate?
Draw cards.
Like, I think the design here is getting a Mana Worm or a Leper Gnome on turn 1. So those are your 4 1-drop cards you're looking for. And then once you get those on the field, you're able to play on turn 2 maybe Arcane Missiles, Frostbolt, or a Mad Bomber to kill your own Leper Gnome to do an additional 2 damage, and killing your own Mad Scientist to help you proc getting an Ice Block from the deck, thus improving your draw overall. And then the Forgotten Torches are giving you more burn in your deck. Like, if the Forgotten Torch effectively gives each one of those represents 9 total damage if you draw it and the card it created. So it's pretty good. And then the Cold Light Oracles are just helping you draw your burn, so you can just blow them up one turn.
Have you tried it?
I have not tried it. So what I have done to compensate this, because I talked to him today, is in the show notes, I have direct quotes from him playing this deck. And VLPS said this morning he has a 75% win rate with this deck.
On what ranks?
I want to say these are in legend ranks.
Okay.
So here's what he says. This is the basic rundown, and then he gave me matchups quotes. So here we go. I'll read this to you guys. And then, Andrew, I'll have you read the matchups in the bottom section if you could.
Okay.
The basic premise of the deck is to deal as much damage as you can early while keeping board control with your early minions. Once you lose the board control, you want to start cycling as fast as you can into your burn to go over the top. It is my take on an old school Tiddler Celestial Mage, which is fairly similar but has a few key differences that I improved on, I believe. If you play any Freeze Mage, which LBOIS claims that he is very good at Freeze Mage and is one of his favorite decks to play, it is generally the same concept. I would not complain if this deck became an aggro deck of choice because it does take some pre-thought to pull it off. Here's like a big key phrase. You want to realize when you can push for damage but still stall the same until you can get lethal with your burn. Very similar to Freeze Mage, where you can come up a few damage or a turn too short from winning. This destroys the meta at the moment, and you can play around Reno decks by a little bit by hovering them above 20 and then killing them in one turn with Ice Lances. Very versatile. So, Andrew, why don't you dive into what he gave us for matchups here?
Yeah, he's saying that they're really good against. It's really good against Paladin, Mage, Hunter, Shaman, Warlock. Most of those are kind of fast meta decks, and not so great against Warrior, Priest, or Rogue, which are not as fast. Maybe Rogue is, but said it's going to struggle against any deck that opens Zombie Chow or something else to highly contest the early board control. Is paramount to your success. You apply tons of pressure early because you're not going to have time later. So he's played a ton of games with it, and it's really nice when the opponent doesn't know what you're playing. So
sounds like this deck's played a little bit like a mixture between Freeze Mage and Face Hunter and like a Oil Rogue-esque, only It doesn't last that long, right? Like the games are meant to go fast. So what do you got? What are your first impressions now that I've kind of just popped this on you?
Just sounds extremely aggressive. Like this is an all for nothing. If you miss your opening, you might as well concede.
Right. So what would you say if this is the first time you saw the try to go back in Classic, like the first time you saw Face Hunter? It feels bad when you're looking at this deck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. You're thinking this is going to be a new Face Hunter?
I mean, the only difference between this and Face Hunter is it runs a legendary that draws you a card. And I think that legendary is replaced by a Kobold Geomancer.
Hunter also has a very strong hero power, and it has weapons.
Yeah, so this deck instead utilizes better spells, I believe, because Mage has the better spells, whereas Hunter has a better hero power. So utilizing fast minions with a good hero power is what Hunter does. Mage, in essence, is playing a few minions that help you cycle and have something on the board, and then they also have a very powerful draw engine innate with their cards. So Mage is just able to really punch through a lot of the mold, and then they also have stall mechanics. So he's kind of mixing burst and stall, and it sounds like he said that on a few turns, like for instance on turn 6 or turn 7, you can basically like Frost Nova and then Fireball them or Forgotten Torch them, and then like you can next turn, if you do something right, you might be able to like Arcane Golem and Fireball for, that's 10 damage, guys. That's a Pyroblast for 7.
I think the big thing that he already mentioned is just the art of surprising your opponent.
Right.
Freeze Mage doesn't run early game minions, so for this one to do that, it's going to be really confusing. There haven't been too many aggro or fast Mage decks, so when that leper gnome comes out on turn 1.
Yes, people are going to be confused.
Yeah, your opponent's definitely going to be scratching their head.
Yeah. I love the Mad Bombers in this deck. Can I just say that? I think that's really inventive.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a fun card, and it can work sometimes.
I think it's a really good hard counter to these zoo decks that are actually out right now. I think the Mad Bomber is really good inclusion here.
Yeah. If your opponent has a ton of minions on board, there's a really good chance that those pings are going to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew does not want to counter to zoo yet.
I don't actually. If you can hold off for a couple more days and let me get to
if
Legend.
Andrew starts losing, I think I know the deck he's going to go to.
Oh, man. I might. I just might.
I think you want to test this in casual a couple games and just see how it plays.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
cool. For sure.
All right.
Email.
We don't have a lot of time left, but Eve, why don't you read Dawn Dragonrider's email?
Okay, Dawn Dragonrider, I'm going to assume you're a girl.
Yeah, she is.
Hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hey all, I love the show and that you guys are doing something different by helping budget players. I'm a pretty average, maybe slightly above average player. Average rank 4 to 5 each season now. Okay, hold up. That's above average.
That's pretty good.
That's quite far above average. I like the humility that I'm hearing, but trust me, you are a very, very good player. So don't talk yourself down.
Yep.
And have been playing since before Nax, and I find myself learning from your show each and every week. My main account, NA, is somewhat free to play. I only spend a little bit of money if I don't have mass amounts of gold or in special pre-release cases, and have gradually expanded to create free-to-play accounts on both the EU and Asia servers. My EU account, I only play casually 2 hours a week when I do my free-to-play Friday streams. Playing through the beginning stages and hearing another listener's email about loving Arena gave me some ideas for what to do between arenas. Work on getting each class to 10 or higher milestones, as well as try to beat the expert level Innkeeper heroes, which you also get gold for doing. This increases your card pool, gives you tons of gold from wins and quests, as well as increasing your class knowledge, which could help in Arena. Just to throw in a question as well, I was wondering if you guys could tell us about a moment you had when you realized you had improved over time, like a light bulb kind of moment. An example, one day while streaming the pre-grand tournament brawl, I made a play and explained it without even thinking about it, and after a moment I realized that me from several months ago wouldn't have even seen that play, let alone been able to say why it was good. Hope I didn't babble on too long. Thanks for the awesome show. So I thought about this, and my light bulb moment was when I started to teach my husband how to play Hearthstone, and watching him make all the mistakes that I made when I first started playing, and then trying to explain to him, with the knowledge that I have now, why those aren't good plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like having a spell and just wanting to go face with it.
Arcane Missiles on turn 1.
Arcane Missiles turn 1.
Yes.
Yeah. The most new play of them all.
It's like, I could do 6 damage to him right now, right to his face, so why not?
Yeah. I had one of those noob moments that I was playing against somebody this week. They were playing Zoo Warlock against my Patron Warrior, and they had a Young Priestess, which is the 2/1 that says, "Do you need a blessing?" And gives a one health to a random ally.
Yeah.
At the end of each turn. And the guy had this on the field and power overwhelming and hit me in the face. I was like,
oh,
this is definitely some rank 14 business. So
not the most value-oriented play.
Yeah. So needless to say, I went on to smash this opponent.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I was remembering when I won't go into too much detail because it's in the YouTube video that I talk about that I've got up about arena play. My moment was kind of while I was playing arena when I started actually doing well. Because in arena, it's a very direct thing where, you have a 2-win run, and then you have a 0-win run, and then you have a 3-win run. And, I was caught in that average. The first time that I got 8 wins, I think my highest before that was probably like 4. So to go from 4 wins to 8 wins all of a sudden, and I talk about it, my run right before that 8-win run was a 0-win run. So it was very dramatic, whoa, what just shifted? And I think I think everyone does have those light bulb moments, Don. I think that's a really good observation. Sometimes you just don't even know why or how, but
it's an innate thing.
Yeah, that you're making better plays. I mean, you've seen streamers play so much that you ask yourself, why did they make that decision to trade instead of go face, or vice versa, to go face instead of trade? And the more and more that you process that, it just trains your brain to just know this is the right play. So the light bulb moment happens. You just don't necessarily know why, you know?
Yeah, like I saw some play that Ostkaka made in the it wasn't the semifinals. I want to say it was the quarters finals and top 8, where he's playing against a Freeze Mage mirror match against Tice. And Tice had got his life total, Ostkaka's life total, down to a certain point. And then if whatever happened, he had played it in such a way that there was just enough where the next turn, Tice would be able to hit him for 3 damage with something on the field, and then ping him at 1 health to pop the ice block, and then he would draw a fatigue card and die. So what Ostkaka actually did to counter him is he pinged his own face so that he couldn't pop the ice block. And I was like, oh my word, that is the most genius play. Like,
Yeah,
that is one of
that's
those light bulb
some
moments
next
that is a pro scene play for Freeze Mage. So I'll tell you my personal one was actually kind of a mixture. There's like 2. So just like Andrew, I had a play where I did a 2-3 arena run and just like got totally smashed. I had a bad deck, got horrible matchups against really good cards on my first 2 games. And then I had a Paladin deck that I was able to just do stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is the 3rd Hammer of Wrath. Let's just make a Hammer of Wrath Paladin deck. So I had 2 Consecrates, 4 Hammers of Wrath, 2 Blessing of Kings, and just smashed my opponent. I was like Hammer of Wrathing and drawing cards on their face. I was just beating them so bad.
Oh, man.
And I got 9 wins. It was my highest finish in Arena.
Wow.
So it was really fun. And I actually went 6-0 before I even lost a game. So it was pretty exciting.
Wait, did you go 6-0?
Ah! So that was my Arena moment. And I think this last 2 weeks have been, or 3 weeks, sorry, this is Wednesday, so I miscalculated, but yeah, like the last 3 weeks have been the biggest moment for me because I've actually realized that I'm not a bad deck builder anymore. I can sit down in an adventure for 1 to 2 hours and beat heroic bosses and give people a dual hard mode of saying, you know, this deck that I beat this boss with on heroic has 2 epics in it. And you can do it too. Like that's something that I've never been able to do before. I mean, I was net decking everything. Even in Blackrock Mountain, I was like, I can't freaking beat Valstraz. He's such a butt nugget and I can't beat him.
Choice words.
So but like this one is just like everything seems to be making sense. And like people may argue, you know, this particular last 2 wings have been really easy. You know, you don't have to craft a deck for one of the bosses. The other boss is an escape. You just play Freeze Mage, like blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, that's true. But I mean, I've been able to do it. Like, that's so cool.
I feel like I have a lot of little light bulb moments. Like when I'm hanging out with the guys at the TAC hangout and people are spectating my games and they're like, oh, you should play this card because next turn he'll probably play this card. And my brain just goes wider. Like it opens up and takes in more knowledge about the game. And then when I'm laddering up and I see other people and how they play and then try and remember the combos that they pull off and the time that they play things and when, and take in all of that information, it's like constantly, oh, that's a new way to play that. And, oh, I should have done that instead of that. So it's like you're constantly having all these little light bulb moments and they all add up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for the show. Eve, why don't you let people know how we're doing in iTunes and Stitcher reviews right now, or getting involved with the show?
How you can get involved with the show? You can review the show on iTunes.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Rob here. Just wanted to say special thanks to our iTunes reviews. At the time of this recording, we didn't have any when we started, but by the time we had finished, we got 2 new iTunes reviews. So we want to make sure that they make it into this week's show, especially for the holidays and Thanksgiving. We want to make sure you get adequate thanks. The first one comes from Howling Cats. She says, hey guys, Velen's podcast is definitely one of my top 5 podcasts when it comes to correct meta discussion. Today there is a huge pool of Hearthstone podcasts, and actually several are feeding
If you know your friends play Hearthstone and they like Hearthstone, you could recommend our show to them. You can chat with us on Twitter or repost our tweets on Twitter. You can support us on Patreon. You can play Hearthstone with us. You can play Destiny with me. I play way, way too much Destiny. I am so addicted to that right now. You can have Andrew coach you in Arena. And definitely send us all of your emails, because we love reading them on the show, and they give us a lot of things to talk about and think about. So thank you very much.
Funny game stories, we appreciate it.
That too. So thank you today, Dawn, for sending in your email.
Yeah, thank you so much for your emails, and LBYS, special shout out to you for your new deck archetype and building new stuff for us to play. Thank you so much. And Raynad for doing his business with the Reliquary Seeker and helping Andrew hit Legend.
That's for real.
Soon
Soon.
TM.
Yeah, there you go.
If you want to keep the hashtag going, you can say Andrew to Legend or Andrew Living Legend or something like that.
Yeah.
Andrew, why don't you tell people where they can find our show?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Velen's Podcast, Facebook at Velen's Chosen Podcast. Email us at valenschosenpodcast@gmail.com. You can search for us on Patreon. And our website is valenschosen.posthaven.com. We're also on iTunes, RSS, and Stitcher. And you can use the code on Esports Hero, ValensChosen15, to get 5,000 free coins, which is basically $5.
Yep.
So that's a
$5
pretty
every
good
day.
deal. Go try it out. It's fun.
Eve, where can people find you at?
I'm on Twitter at Finnovar, FHINNOVARR, and on Twitch, I'm watching you type right now. Evemartyn, EVEMARTYN. I have not put my BattleNet tag in because I'm shy.
That's okay.
That's fine. If you want it, message her, let her know.
Yes. If I feel that you are safe. Listen, I'm just going to put this out there. Things for girls are a little bit different than they are for guys. On the internet and in gaming, it's just a little bit of a more scary, unsafe place. So I'm just careful about what information I give out and what people I friend. And I know you can always block them afterwards, but yeah, I'm just going to be a little careful with my information.
Totally fair.
All right. Andrew.
I'm on Twitter at Andrew's Living. You can find me on YouTube. Search for BinacaFreak. I've got some tips on Arena on there, including the story that I alluded to earlier. You can get the whole story on there. And,
I gotta go watch that now.
yeah, you should. I mean, I know I've plugged it before, but there was one thing that I changed in my Arena runs that took me from that 0-win run to an 8-win run. And that's a big deal. So and you can find me on BattleNet. Andrew is Live number 1973. And you can watch the hopefully the legend run.
Yeah.
Yes,
Andrew,
yes. You gonna be
what is
streaming your Legend
What's your
run?
Twitch? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and my Twitch is Andrew is living. I don't know. It was rough. I'm gonna be honest. So I don't know if I'll be doing much of that, but
You
can
didn't enjoy it?
no.
Was it your computer couldn't handle it?
No, my computer was fine. I mean, it was loud because it was processing a lot, but it was yeah. It was just a lot easier to concentrate on the game when I wasn't streaming. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that's true. Like if
So
you're
this
doing
is-
a run to Legend and you have to
Mhm.
concentrate and you're like looking at the chat and trying to like talk to people.
Well, and I was thinking through like how do I make this enjoyable, because I have watched some people on Twitch where they're just playing the game and it's just boring, you know.
Sometimes Colento's stream is like that.
Yeah, I watch streams because I want to get better at playing. So if I have to just talk through what I'm thinking, and so I have to think about what I'm thinking rather than just think about the game, you know. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just
how
an
about
extra
let's
layer.
just say for your run to Legend only, you can
Yeah.
ignore the stream and just concentrate and we'll just watch you play.
Yeah.
Sure. Or you can just add me on BattleNet and you can watch on there, and that's fine too.
We can spectate you. Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
All right. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at NotRob, and on Facebook you can find my photography and design portfolio or contact info if you need some design work done or photos in the Midwest region at NotRobMedia. My BattleNet is Twic #1198 if you want to play Overwatch or Heroes or Hearthstone. And
But mostly Overwatch.
mostly Overwatch for this weekend. So I'm hoping to get a permanent beta key that I can keep playing. Steam, I'm at Sir Twic with no spaces, and that is for basically just playing Rocket League with crazy people. I love that game. And then I have another podcast called The Maze Podcast. That's on iTunes. It's on Twitter at MAYZ_podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this show. We appreciate every single viewer and any reviews that you guys give us anywhere. I think that's it for our show. Another Easter egg for you if you stuck around this long. Blizzard just announced for Heroes of the Storm that they're not doing any deal for weekly sales, but rather for the 24th, I believe, of November until the 31st of December, everything in the store is 50% off.
Ooh, wow.
Wait, for Blizzard?
Everything in the Heroes of the Storm store.
Oh, Heroes of the Storm.
Every
okay.
hero, every skin, every mount,
And
everything's
if that was for the
50% off.
entire
Crazy.
Blizzard store, I would be going now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a big
Hoodies!
deal. It's a big deal. So
Cool.
hopefully we'll see something for Hearthstone. You never know. Maybe they'll do something with
packs?
Amazon and make the coins really cheap. So keep watching your social medias. And I think that'll do it.
I hope they
I
do.
hope-
It'd be a nice like Christmas present for people who play their games.
Christmas!
Indeed.
Yeah, like a free card back would be pretty cool.
Well, they're gonna do like a Christmassy card back for December, right? So
Well,
that's
maybe.
gonna happen.
We'll see.
I don't know. They didn't last time, so
oh,
They could do it.
what was
No.
the card back last December?
I don't even know. I think it
It
might
was
have been.
it
be
was
able to look.
gnomes. It was gnomes.
Yeah, it was
Goblins
gnomes.
versus
It was
Gnomes.
goblins versus gnomes that just come out.
All
yeah.
right, right.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. And not all who wander on the ladder are lost. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?
Hello and welcome. Every time without fail.
So you just got to get that one out of the way, and then you're good to go.
That way I can get to the bloopers.
That's
you
right.
always, You always sound good the second time.